Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive problem in how we consume information. We're going to look at why our default, common sense habit of treating academic research like a giant fact vending machine is actually a really dangerous trap, one that leads straight to misinformation. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how transitioning to an uncommon sense approach, becoming what we call a street smart research detective, changes absolutely everything about how you understand the world. Let's dive in.
So, let's be honest for a second. Don't we all quietly wish we could just plunk a coin into a machine, press a button, and get a definitive, universal answer dropped right into our hands? I mean, we want that perfect, unshakable fact so we can finally win that exhausting Thanksgiving argument with our uncle, right? We approach research hoping for an absolute truth that just magically ends the debate. And because of that urge, we naturally crave what I like to call truth cards. We want these rigid, simple facts we can just confidently slap down on the table like a winning poker hand. We see a headline claiming, "Research proves X causes Y," or "This 21-day hack cures ADHD," and we just collect it. But the problem is, we're treating research as a transactional method of simply knowing things, rather than actually understanding them.
What we're really talking about here is a massive mindset shift. On one side, we have the book smart, fact collector. This is our standard common sense approach to research. Memorize the findings, cite your sources, and use them as debate ammunition. But on the flip side, we have the street smart sense maker. This is the uncommon sense approach. It's not just about hoarding information, it's about flexible judgment, contextualizing evidence, and synthesizing clues to navigate a super complex world.
Because here is the ultimate irony. Just memorizing facts absolutely does not equal lived understanding. Actually, let me give you a hilarious and perfect example of this. Imagine two communication scholars who literally study and know every piece of academic research on verbal aggression, yet they end up aggressively brawling with each other like heavyweights over their findings at a conference. They have all the book smarts in the world, but they completely lack the lived, contextual, street smarts. And this gap right here, the space between knowing and understanding, is exactly where misinformation breeds. You see, misinformation isn't always fabricated lies. Very often, it happens when we take partial, highly caveated research findings and treat them as absolute, universal certainties. The nuance gets completely flattened out into brittle, rigid knowledge. It essentially becomes a myth.
Let's trace how this de-evolution actually plays out in the wild. Step 1. A dense 30-page academic study full of nuances, specific sample sizes, and careful caveats gets published. Step 2. All of that vital context and limitation is completely stripped away by someone looking for a quick, punchy answer. Step 3. It gets blasted out online as a rigid, oversimplified social media slogan that millions of people just adopt as absolute truth.
This whole common sense trap, it's basically a gold mine for communication charlatans to sell you simple wellness shortcuts. Think about what floods your feeds every day. 21-day dopamine resets, or calling serotonin the happy molecule, or defining oxytocin purely as a bonding hormone. Sure, these claims might be technically tied to science, but they completely ignore the complex contextual reality of our brains just to sell you an easy-to-believe myth. So why do we fall for these myths so much? Well, it's because we mistakenly try to apply research as an algorithm. An algorithm is a rigid, rule-based procedure that promises predictable outputs. Do X and you will automatically get Y. We falsely assume that human relationships, brain chemistry, and complex communication are just going to act like predictable math equations if we followed the research. Take the famous Gottman 5-to-1 relationship ratio, for instance. Applying this as a rigid algorithm, genuinely believing you must deploy exactly 5 positive interactions to fix exactly 1 negative argument, completely ignores human reality. I mean, what counts as a positive interaction for one partner might literally be annoying to another. Algorithmic thinking just treats human connection like a vending machine. This is exactly why we need a drastic pivot. We have to abandon rigid algorithms and start embracing flexible heuristics. A heuristic is a guide. It sensitizes us to possibilities, it helps us anticipate outcomes, and it allows us to adapt to shifting contexts. Adopting heuristics is how the street smart detective mindset takes over from the book smart fact collector. It's leaning fully into that uncommon sense approach. Let me give you a super relatable everyday example. Say you see some social media advice targeting ADHD that tells you to buy a specific, expensive craft card to organize your life. An algorithmic reader thinks, I must buy this exact cart right now to fix my problem. But a street smart detective, they read that heuristically. They realize the underlying goal is really just creating a visible container to organize scattered materials. That means a cheap laundry basket works just as well. The truth is adaptable, not a rigid rule. Now, this street-smart approach becomes an absolute game-changer when research literally contradicts itself. A detective uses dialectical thinking to hold contradictory findings together. For example, some research says mirroring a client's body language in sales builds trust, but other research says mirroring feels inauthentic and manipulative. So which one is true? Well, both. It entirely depends on the context, the relationship, and the execution. You can't just pick one as a universal truth and toss the other. Instead of aggressively demanding cite your sources in a comment section just to collect more debate ammunition, our street-smart detective operates completely differently. Imagine a detective stringing red yarn across a corkboard. They map out the context. They ask, who was the sample here? What are the actual limits of this study? What does this actually help me understand about the world? They aren't seeking universal certainty. They're actively synthesizing clues.
Okay, so what happens when we throw artificial intelligence into the mix? AI is basically the ultimate fact-vending machine on steroids. And it suffers heavily from automation bias, which is our incredibly dangerous tendency to just blindly trust whatever a machine spits out. AI will confidently and beautifully summarize complex academic studies into those flattened, rigid rules we just warned against, and it presents them as conclusive, universal facts. Don't get me wrong, we aren't anti-AI here at all. AI is an unbelievable tool for access. As the source material points out, it is phenomenal for overcoming reading barriers for neurodivergent learners navigating dyslexia or ADHD. It organizes information brilliantly. But, and this is a massive, absolutely crucial but, it cannot do the human work of sense-making and contextual judgment for you. You literally cannot outsource your understanding to a machine. And that brings us to literacies. Developing your literacies, research literacy, scientific literacy, digital literacy, is more critical now than it has ever been. Your research literacy is literally your detective badge. It's what empowers you to prioritize active curiosity over passive certainty when you're navigating our algorithm-driven, information-saturated landscape. Simply put, literacies are the ultimate street smarts. So we've covered a huge mindset shift today, moving from the common sense fact collector to the uncommon sense sense maker. And I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. When you encounter the next big, flashy research says claim on your timeline, will you just blindly collect that truth card? Or will you do the real work and connect the clues? Keep that curiosity alive, and thanks so much for exploring this with me.